So Team Haney is back swinging from Gervonta Tank Davis, you know what. They back on it. They back hanging from this, you know what. But this time, they doing it in the form of disrespecting and down talking Gervonta Tank Davis Coach Calvin Ford.
GoFundMe page for Calvin Ford to get a car or not.
So now you insinuating he ain't got no car?
I'm just kidding. Have you seen it?
Yo, you terrible.
VH, what the fuck?
What the? You know he gotta have a car.
It ain't like yours.
What
For sure. ain't nothing you gonna drive. That's for sure, Jack.
And this isn't the first time he's done it. He's done this multiple times now. But then he will hop on the Rise podcast with Calvin Ford and smile in his face like they cool. And then as soon as he's off that, he'll go jump on another platform just to backbite him again. Which is funny to me because he claims to be a Muslim. Again, he claims to be a devout Muslim. And backbiting is haram. Backbiting is a major sin in Islam. But he keeps insisting on doing it to Calvin Ford. A man, a very honorable man, a man who invests his blood, sweat, and tears into these inner city kids to save them from the wrong path and to keep them on track to where they could lead a successful life where most young men, where they come from, that's not the reality for them. But you got a guy like Calvin Ford that devotes his life to these kids. Even when he said young fighters be killed, young kids be killed, he hasn't left them yet. He stayed down with them. He stayed there in the trenches with them. He said his own blood son be killed, be murdered, and he's still there with these kids, giving them everything he got. So I don't see how Bill Haney, who calls himself Trill Bill, where Trill is supposed to mean real or 100, a man that calls himself Trill Bill can attack a man with this kind of character and down talk a man with this kind of character. No, I don't know Calvin Ford at all. I don't got no connections to that camp, to anybody in that camp. But I respect them all for what they do for these children and what they do for their community. Which is why I tried to mind my business and let this slide and just be a fan and not say anything. But I can't. I'm sorry, I just can't. I can't see a man like this get disrespected. He keeps taking the high road whenever it's brought up on the podcast, but I can't. Like I said, this ain't the first time Bill done did this. But Bill said something very interesting that I agreed with in the same interview. It's not like a new phrase or not. You probably heard this phrase before. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Bill was saying that in terms of the lightweight division. He was saying there's smoke in the division and that Devin is the fire, which y'all already know I disagree with. We ain't even gotta talk about that. That's a whole nother discussion. But he said, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I agree with that. So I seen how Bill has some character flaws. You gotta have some character flaws if you attacking a man like this. Somebody this honorable, you attacking them behind their back. So I said, you know what? It's a little smoke there. Let me see if there's a fire. It's well reported that Bill had his run-in with the law before Devin was born, you know. So I just happened to Google his case. You know, just Google his case to see where some of this smoke might be coming from. And there wasn't much on Google when I tried to Google his case. It just brought me here to this appeal document you see right here. An appeal from 1994 for the United States versus Xavier Cardell Lartigue and William E. Haney. Now, in this document, it doesn't say too much. It just gives a breakdown of the case, the initial investigation and all that. But again, there was some smoke in here. Like this part right here, where it said when Bill was getting questioned, he broke into a sweat. And his voice and his hands were shaking. So I said, that's kind of interesting. It wasn't, before this, I really didn't see anything interesting. So I was going to start reading and say, okay, he really must be true. I don't see too much. But then I came across this and I kept reading. And as I read a little longer, I came by this right here. And before I read this to y'all can Google the case, because I forgot to put it in earlier. Y'all can Google and see that Terrence Wright and Benjamin Wright was their fake names that they booked their plane tickets under. Terrence Wright was the Xavier guy, and Benjamin Wright is Bill Haney. But as you can see, it says, at this point, Officers Bunning and Parker identified themselves as narcotics investigators and asked both defendants for consent to search their bags and persons. The defendants initially agreed to the search and followed the officers to the first aid room. Terrence Wright, Xavier, refused to go into the room. Officer Bunning told the defendants that if they refused the search warrant, they would try to obtain a federal search warrant. Both refused the search. Officer Bunning reiterated that they would both be detained while he tried to obtain a search warrant. Benjamin Wright then re-entered the room, emptied his bag out on the bed, and said the officers could search his bag since he had nothing to hide. He also consented to a search of his person. The officers found no contraband drugs. Now, obviously, this ain't telling on somebody. This ain't telling, and you can't put this on nobody saying this is telling. But it is dry telling. Bill tried to save his soap. Bill knew what his homie had in that bag, but he said, fuck that. I'm trying to save my soap. Y'all can search me, because I ain't got nothing. Whatever he got, that's on him. That's what he did. He tried to save his soap. And of course, when they brought the dogs out and searched him, they found 2 bricks. Bill, you knew what your homie had in that bag. You tried to save yourself, bro. As long as he was refusing to let him search him, you should have been doing the same thing. But you figured, well, I ain't got nothing, so if they search me, they just gonna let me go. He on his own, that's on him. And that's what you did. It ain't play out how you thought. You still got charged. And like I said, this is not telling. I'm not saying this is telling, but it is a character flaw, which makes sense for what he's doing to Calvin Ford. This is another character flaw. Bill, you said, fuck my homie, I gotta save myself. So the smoke was getting thicker here. It felt like we may be getting close to a fire. So I went on Pacer, the federal court case search, to see if I could find something else. But because the case was so old, and you can't get any documents online older than 2001, that's as far as I could get. You would have to contact the court directly to get them to send you an email version of it or a physical copy of it. And I ain't really want to go through all that. I really ain't see myself going this far. I just ain't, I can't tolerate seeing a man like Calvin Ford being disrespected over and over. We need more men like Calvin Ford in our communities all over the country. I don't know, but that's on y'all though. I can't tell y'all who to like and support. Who you going to choose? The guy that says fuck my homie, I gotta save myself, or the guy that's through all his hardships have stayed down with these kids and continue to try to save these kids and give him a better life. That's for you to choose. And if one of y'all decided to hit up the courts and search them documents yourselves, that's on y'all. Me personally, I'm gonna assume Bill ain't got nothing to hide. I mean, you can't have nothing to hide if you out here running around with a big mouth like that. You can't have nothing to hide. So I'm assuming he is who he says he is, Trill Bill. Even though in my opinion there was some smoke there that could potentially lead to a fire if you decide to go that far. But I ain't gonna go that far. And I know a lot of y'all gonna say I'm out of pocket for making this kind of video and that I should just keep it boxing. But y'all gotta tell Bill that too. Cause I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. It ain't in me to watch a man like Calvin Ford, a man of that character, get disrespected. And for me to just sit there, I can't do it. So I'm sorry about that. And when Bill made them comments in that video, this is what he wanted anyway. Some more attention. So this is what he wanted. But that's what I got, man. I'm out.